A company without a content strategy may end up feeling like a ship without a rudder, lost, drifting, and ill-suited to survive the next big storm. Plan, develop, and implement a content strategy with DITA in mind, and you can reap rewards. Deliver a consistent message to the right people, in the right format, at the right time, and on any device. There are a few takeaways from this video. You will have a stronger understanding of what a unified content strategy should do, be able to explain why structured content matters to a unified content strategy, and list 10 reasons that DITA helps. We'll even be demonstrating some of those in actual practice. Unified content strategy means the methodical and purposeful management of your information assets across all the divisions of your enterprise. This has to be done in a way that breaks down silos and makes information easy to find and use. Structured content is the best way to strategically optimize your content. Structured content separates content from formats. This frees content from a file extension, which means it frees content from tools like Microsoft Word and frees content from proprietary formats. In turn, this enables intelligent reuse, multi-channel publishing, efficiencies in translation, and all sorts of enhancements when delivering to end users. Structure provides a markup for your content. It does so through semantic elements and metadata. These can lead to high levels of consistency and help lower maintenance efforts. Structured content is ready for XML. This behind-the-scenes XML gives structured content all of its superpowers. One XML standard that has taken off in the technical communication space is DITA. If there's one thing technical communicators know inside and out, it's content. From planning and creation to reviews and delivery, we're definitely the experts in the room. Actually, it's safe to say that we're the experts in the enterprise. Prior to DITA, there wasn't much we could do when it came to strategizing with the rest of the enterprise and pooling our tools, processes, and content. That's no longer the case. We're starting to see DITA adoption from many expected and unexpected divisions. Originally, only software and hardware companies were in the DITA game, but it's grown into so many industries. There's a good reason that DITA is the accepted industry standard for creating structured content. Once set up, it provides an intuitive and friendly approach to guided authoring. DITA breaks contents down into manageable, reusable, information-typed blocks. Its authoring and reuse benefits far outweigh the initial investment and effort of transitioning. On top of that, it separates content from format. DITA is perfectly positioned to bring a much-needed evolution to enterprise content. In turn, this makes it easier to deliver the right information to the right people, at the right time, and in the right format. It also helps them make the right decision, and then move on. A unified, DITA-driven, enterprise-wide approach to content can have a profound impact on the enterprise. When content created by the enterprise is valued and treated as a valuable corporate asset, it's a win-win-win situation. It's a win because it's more efficient for the enterprise. It's a win because it is easier for content creators. And it's a win because end users reap the real benefit by getting the content they need when they need it. Content reuse is one of the easiest ways to show the value of a DITA-based approach to documentation. But experience shows that not everyone has an easy time wrapping their heads around it. DITA's reuse mechanism lets you reuse a small or large chunk of content wherever you need it without having to copy and paste. Compare it with the difference between attaching and managing a document in an email discussion and creating and managing your documents in a shared online environment. Think about using that content over time. If it's in attachments and files, you have to hunt to find them, ID the current version, and much more. If it's online, you have one common and shared source of truth. There are distinct advantages to reusing materials in a shared repository and having everyone access it in a collaborative manner. DITA takes this further. You can store content outside of a delivered or final document and do so with smaller components called topics. Anyone can then assemble topics in any order and publish to any format. When you update a topic, it gets updated everywhere it is used. A good unified content strategy considers all the assets and all the possible ways they can be reused across the enterprise. Marketing, training, support, and technical documentation all likely have significant overlap in the subjects they create content for, although the level of detail and the end user can differ. DITA's flexibility can handle both the similarities and the changes. DITA separates content from format. This means that authors or translators don't manually format text. They use semantic tagging. They may make a piece of information into a title, and that title isn't a task, concept, reference, table, figure, section, or an example. The look and feel is assigned by a publishing tool automatically. This introduces immediate and large savings, as translators don't have to worry about the look and feel of the content. They just translate words. Combine that with DITA's reuse, and you only pay to translate content once, no matter how many places you use it. Costs and management effort for translation can be vastly reduced. The savings can be phenomenal, assuming, of course, that there is careful planning and implementation. You can also introduce more sophisticated translation mechanisms, like sending only the content that has changed since the last translation. These smarter, more efficient ways of dealing with content that needs translation introduce profound savings, multiplied by the number of languages you translate into. A DITA-optimized component content management system, or CCMS, can also partially automate the management of translated content, alerting you when the source language has been updated and the translation is required, providing an integrated delivery mechanism with the translation vendor. DITA is an open standard. It's managed and maintained by the OASIS committees made up of industry experts working as volunteers. DITA is not a tool. It's a framework that can be used by anyone and any software tool. DITA's position as a vendor-neutral standard means you can use whichever tools you want without risking vendor lock-in. There's an array of DITA tools for various parts of the content lifecycle. Some may be best at helping you author and publish content without ever seeing code. Others may be better at managing content and review workflows. Some may have online components that allow a subject matter expert to contribute with minimal technical writing skills. This means you can switch tools whenever you need, or push content through one tool and into the next whenever needed. It also means that you can link tools together. You can use a suite of tools, passing the DITA XML from one to the other to achieve the result that works best for your enterprise. DITA breaks up content from long documents into small, modular pieces that can be assembled into documents at publishing time. The antiquated idea of content ownership is based on the historical book paradigm, where one person was generally in charge of the content throughout its life cycle, and you would have to interact with other people every day in order to do any work. A massive shift occurs when you introduce the modular writing of DITA. You dive into collaborative, workflow-controlled content creation and reviews. DITA allows many individuals to contribute topics that are used by a single finished document and does so while maintaining consistency. A DITA-optimized CCMS lets people access shared content, even allowing subject matter experts to contribute by creating content or providing reviews. Reviews become real-time and collaborative, with comments and suggested changes occurring on a centralized, shared view of the content by one or more reviewers. They can see each other's comments in real time, have discussions, track items that are accepted or rejected, and keep an audit history of the comments made and resolved on the content. CCMSs also let you connect content to workflow, so everything follows your desired processes. It leaves nothing to fall through the cracks. Combining collaborative workflows solves quite a few business problems. By attaching deadlines and due dates, the entire review process, step by step, becomes part of the project and fully managed. Having centralized control of the content lifecycle as a project lets you have visibility into the metrics around each step in that lifecycle, allowing you to have a deeper understanding of the cost and effort the enterprise puts into creating and approving content. For decades, product docs were considered an afterthought. They added no revenue to the enterprise. They were a cost when those dumb end users couldn't use such a clearly simple solution, at least simple in the eyes of the product team. Maybe there was a regulatory need or content was written since the competition did it too. However, we've lately seen a shift in this thinking at the highest levels. After all, this is the information age, and we are so connected with what we hear, see, and read. There's a growing enterprise-level awareness of the importance of documentation. It is part of the product and part of the customer's journey, and this is extending to all content created by the enterprise. This change treats all content as an output of the enterprise as much as any product. Content has inherent value. Once this idea of content as an asset permeates into senior management, there's support for managing any content generated by the enterprise in an efficient and consistent way, whether it's intended for internal or external end users. The driving force behind creating a high standard includes the need for templates, style guides, tool processes, content storage and retrieval, and baselines for quality. As a byproduct of today's enterprise-wide change to treat content as an asset, the idea of sharing content across departments and breaking down silos becomes an obvious next step. Thanks to shared infrastructure, tools, and management buy-in, departments that create similar types of content can start leveraging each other's work. Crossovers we have seen before include marketing, training, support, and technical documentation. However, there is a growing trend for other departments to adopt more sophisticated content management as well. Often, people in operations, legal, business processes, finance, and education don't even know they're writing in DITA. They just know that it's suddenly easier to create, share, find, review, and publish content. The conversation is not complete if we don't talk about templates and tools. Assisted authoring environments for authors have become stable and powerful with the ability to configure them, build templates, and work with little or no DITA knowledge. On top of this is the fact that DITA provides an infrastructure for creating content and topics. However, as an engineer friend has told me, the great thing about standards is that there are so many to choose from. In the same way, there's little guidance about how to write in DITA topics and how to consistently decide on the right mix and order of elements when work is done by many authors. DITA authoring tools allow you to create a managed shell to guide authors to write clearly and consistently based on the particular type of content they are writing for and the audience's goals for that content. You can add or further refine restrictions and permissions to help those who author content. That can be a simple template for a contribution by a subject matter expert, a more involved template for a casual DITA author, or a complex and powerful template for use by the traditional power user who works in DITA every day. And again, all the content can be completely shared. Let's take a look at one online environment where this can happen. Let's explore a component content management system. Within that, we will create a folder for the DITA demo. We'll also create a few concepts, tasks, and references with a title, short description, body content, and reusable material. We will write content for reuse to show you how to find them later on, insert them into different locations, track that piece of information, and update it. Then you'll learn how to build a map, an organization system for multiple pieces of information, and how to reuse topics to create different maps. From there, you will see how we can publish that into different formats like HTML5 and PDF. This should give you a bit of insight into some of the things we've talked about so far. Let's explore DITA a little bit with a hands-on demo. Let's start by creating a folder for my sample documents. You can do this just as easily on your local hard drive or in any type of environment. For this demo, we happen to be using Adobe Experience Manager. Let's begin by creating a bit of content. Creating some of the out-of-the-box DITA topics. If you are using AEM with DITA, your interface may look a little bit different, but the ideas are exactly the same. Let's begin with a concept. Concepts are used to introduce what something is or why someone would use it. To begin, the title can be entered as Getting Started with DITA. You can open and start editing the concept immediately. The title that we've put in has become the file name and is also automatically populated at the top of the document. Let's type in a short description, which is something you should think about. A short description actually plays a lot of value in the world of DITA. You will see more about this later on. You'll also notice that this looks very much like working inside any online environment like Google Doc and any other tools. You can just type content in specific spaces instead of writing code. That's our first concept. Let's go ahead and close the XML web editor. Let's say you forgot to save the file. You don't have to worry because you are automatically prompted to do so and won't lose any of the work. Now, let's create a task. Remember, this collection of blueprint content is 100% configurable based on how you're using AEM. Again, whatever is entered as the title, it will automatically be populated inside the task. There's the task with its title, paragraph, and spot for a comment. If you do want to dive in deeper into the DITA technical side of things, there are a few panels you can toggle. The right panel toggles and shows the properties and changes. We'll come back and work with the properties later on. Toggling on the tags expands and shows all of the elements inside DITA. This is our preference, as you will be able to very specifically place the insertion point before, inside, or after any given element. You'll see more about this in a minute. Let's also toggle the left panel. We've jumped ahead a little, but in the left panel, we've clicked the outline and previously expanded it. Look what happens when we click the step. The outline view is helpful if you are working with a large document and have to jump back and forth between major chunks of information. Let's type right into the command. All we need to do is create a couple of commands. We'll type, click Enter, continue to type, and repeatedly do so until we have enough information. Again, you can just as easily work with this without showing the outline, the tags, or anything. Let's also close the right panels and the tags. At this point, we are back to where someone who has never worked with DITA before could come into a topic and add a couple of steps. Whoever is typing is just typing. Just type, press Enter, and continue to add in assorted content. Look at the top left of the screen. Nobody needs to know that you're in a task, inside a task body, within the steps, within a specific step, and working inside a command. Technically, yes, someone is working with DITA, but realistically, you can do it without having to deep dive into any of the code. When you're done with editing, just save and close. Hopefully, this has been easy so far. Let's create a reference next. Remember that all of this is configurable, so you can have a reference and then put whatever text you want underneath it. For example, you can have a reference, and instead of a template for a reference topic, you can just put in some text that says, "This is for technical specifications or more detailed information." So again, even your novice user could work with this interface and start creating DITA content without remembering the details like what is a topic, reference, concept, map, or bookmap. This is a guided interface. Personally, I really like working with the tags. Let's look at some cool features. there's a plus sign on the Topic Editor toolbar. It opens a contextual set of options that allows you to choose exactly what element you want to insert. As it is contextual, it eliminates the risks of you inserting an invalid and incorrect element. Short description plays a pretty important role in the world of DITA. The short description can automatically be included in generated output. It can be set up so that if someone hovers over the text DITA topic types, they would see a pop-up of the short description. It can even be worth more value in search results in order to promote this to the top when someone is trying to find this information. We'll build up the section a little bit and give you a few more tips. If you press Alt-Enter or on a Mac, Option-Enter, you will get a pop-up that is the same as the plus sign had. You can then just type in the name of an element you want and continue to add content. Again, Alt-Enter or Option-Enter, press Enter, and just keep going. With a quick concept, task, and reference out of the way, let's create some reusable content and start by creating a new folder. With the same idea, the title was automatically inserted, a short description was added, in the body unnecessary elements were deleted, and a note was added. Now let's work with the right panel. Attribute is the metadata that represents the exact piece of information you are working with. In this case, it's the note. To start, we'll assign a specific type to the note. Let's pick a specific attribute. This specific attribute only allows us to choose from a drop-down set of values. There are a lot of options, and we'll choose Remember. We could let the system pick a value, but for the note, we are going to give it our own ID and value, specifically the work plan, so it could be easily found later. Let's save and close this so we could jump onto another document. Conveniently, we are going to show you how you can simply reuse information by clicking at the end of Getting Started should be simple. Let's display the left panel again. The side icons have one that looks like a link in a little page. Let's go to that section and add a DITA file for our content reference. In DITA, that is called a conref. Then, use the visual interface to drill down to the actual location where the conref exists. In this case, it is going to be the reusable note sample. The content that has IDs assigned to them display inside the content reference in the XML editor. Now, it's just drag and drop. Right away, you can see the bottom conref has the system-assigned attribute starting with topic DITA, and the top one has my assigned value of plan, making it way easier to be found with a human-friendly name. Just drag and drop. Reuse is that simple. Let's go do it again. Click the pencil icon and edit the task. The XML web editor continues to show the reusable note sample. Again, drag and drop reuse. This even works without the tags on showing. The XML web editor also prevents you from messing it up and automatically inserts the note into a correct, valid location, which is helpful when you are not entirely sure if you are inserting it into a location where it belongs. Let's take a look at what else we can do. Here's where we are going to move beyond just DITA and show you what happens when you use tools like Adobe Experience Manager as a part of your overall content management strategy. So far, we've used the pencil icon to edit, but there is an ellipsis icon that provides more control over what you do or learn about a file. There's a lot of information inside this dialog, but let's focus on the right-hand side under References. This topic is used in both the Getting Started with DITA topic as well as the Plan Your Content topic. That means if we edit, update, and change the content inside the reusable note sample, it will automatically impact the other two documents. Those documents will always have the most accurate note if we go in and make an edit because it is managed and shared content. At this point, we've created a couple of standalone topics, a reuse folder, and we've shared information between the two. Let's go in now and see how this content can be used for publishing. DITA does a lot with two core things: topics, like the topic, task, and reference, and maps. MAP is a hierarchical method of organizing information. We will see what that means in a minute. Even the icon of the map shows you a bit about the parent and child relationship between pieces of information. We are engineering a training course that teaches people about the basics of DITA. This is what the map will be for. Let's go to the folder where all of my topics are. Then drag and drop topics into the map. Again, drag and drop. The last one. When we hover over a topic, we can promote, or in this case, demote it so that it goes from being a primary to a secondary topic. The hierarchy comes into play in a few minutes when content is published. Save and close the map once you're done with editing. There is a range of tools you could use to publish your content. You could use the DITA Open Toolkit or something like Adobe FrameMaker. In this case, we are going to work inside AEM. Turn on 2 checkboxes for the AEM site and PDF. We'll look at the AEM site in a moment. And click Generate. Behind the scenes, the AEM server is going to start generating both of these. Let's go look at the output. This is neat because you don't have to choose File, Save As, pick a location, configure all kinds of options. Just turn on a couple of check marks, and in a few seconds, an AEM site and PDF are generated. Let's start with the PDF. The content on the title page came from the title of the map. The table of contents is not just automatically generated, but it is correctly generated based on the hierarchy of the first, second, and third level of content that was promoted and demoted inside the DITA map. And lastly, we see the formatted content. Everyone is familiar with a PDF. Let's look at the AEM site, which is built with the exact same content by checking off a second checkbox. There's the map titled Learn the Basics of DITA and the first 2 topics. Let's jump ahead to Plan Your Content. You'll see at the bottom of Plan Your Content are the procedural steps, followed by related information, which was automatically generated, and 2 subordinate topics. In addition, there's a rollover, and then a short description pops up when we hover over Getting Started with DITA. There's a pop-up because we are using a short description, which appears in the last link as well. The AEM site has also published an entire repository of search information, so that when you type in a couple of words and do a search, you will see discrete topics popping up, rather than one massive PDF that tells you a word appears 117 times across a 200-page document. We can see very clear and concise information. There are the titles, there are hyperlinks into them, and your information about the content. Everything that we see on this site and the PDF before this is 100% configurable, so you can get the corporate look and feel that you need. Let's wrap this up by making another map with the exact same topics in a completely different order. Instead of a training course, let's imagine a hands-on tutorial. So this second map is going to have the same topics, but in a new order. Let's start off by telling somebody that they should plan their content, and then we're going to show them information on the different DITA types. Why? It's because this is a tutorial and we want to begin with the hands-on. This is built using the same workflow. Create a map, drag and drop the existing content to the map, promote and demote the topics, so you would have a primary topic of Plan Your Content and 2 equal subordinate topics this time. Let's look at the resulting output. This time, you see the map, title, but you can also get the primary topic on planning and the 2 secondary topics on Getting Started with DITA and DITA topic types as 2 equal subordinates. Of course, when we click on the link, we see the topic. That's a little bit of a demo of working inside the DITA environment, creating a location that then contains tasks, references, and concepts. We looked at reusable contents. We created the note with a specific type and ID. We used the reusable piece inside documents to show how and where those pieces are being reused, and how we can go in and change the note. We saw how we can create maps with the same content but with different structures. All of that is possible because of how DITA works. Then, at the end, we took all of those combinations of the content and we published consistent, professional, finished information. DITA-optimized CCMSs allow you to introduce managed content releases into your content lifecycle. This means you can automate and control when end users see the release of your content. Now you have a secure way to publish only after content is approved by the right people. You can also keep an audit trail of all content changes. This can be fully automated if needed. It all satisfies governance requirements for more controlled industries like semiconductors, medical devices, aerospace, military, and manufacturing. DITA managed with a CCMS allows enterprises to track and be able to recreate any publication completed with who made changes, when, and why each change was made, down to the sentence level. This level of control is not always required, but when it is, automation with a DITA CCMS is the only reasonable solution. PDF, HTML5, mobile for tablets, phones, or any device. People demand content in various formats without even knowing they do so. They just want to access it from the device of their choice. The more accessible your content is, on whichever device they use, the better their experience is with your products and your company. The better the experience, the greater the opportunities. A huge benefit of DITA is that you can output content to many formats from one source. Instead of using many tools, use one to create all the formats your end users need without duplicating content creation and management efforts. And as a side benefit, no author is formatting their own content. They can't. The layout and design of each published deliverable is automatic, enforcing consistency and branding. This is because what the author sees is just one version of the content, not what it looks like when published to any format and for any device. For many enterprises, including software and aviation, a key piece of DITA functionality is the ability to customize information automatically. Imagine a client, model, or even product combination that needs tailored, customized content. It's next to impossible to create and customize a duplicate set of content. Instead, deliver content tailored for specific uses with little extra effort over creating it for just one, and do so using DITA attributes. These tiny little values let authors write a complete set of content just once and maintain it all in just one place, but create deliverables tailored to a specific need on the fly. This dynamic, customized content publishing cuts down on authoring time, review time, and overall ongoing maintenance of content. It's very much like Excel's filter capability, where you can automatically see just the content you want and filter out the rest. Let's look at an example. When writing policies and procedures in oil and gas or insurance or aerospace, there are often details that only apply to some roles or divisions. Imagine a pilot of a plane taking off from the Bahamas. She likely doesn't need to see de-icing information on the screen, but another pilot flying the same type of plane needs it almost daily if he is flying into or out of northern parts of Canada. So building conditional content that may be aware of the departure airport, local temperature, and the specific plane means a pilot sees the relevant content. This means we no longer teach people to ignore content with if-then statements. With DITA, you don't create a separate, mostly duplicated piece of content for each role, product, platform, or audience. DITA lets you create all the content just once, and then filter out what you don't need, delivering just the right details to the right people. Today, it is crucial to know about and design for the consumption of content. Your end users progress through an entire journey when it comes to your content. Even if creating content spans different departments in your enterprise, for the end users, it is all just your content. The consistency of the customer journey is the driving force here. Let's talk about messaging. No matter which department creates the content, the information cannot have discrepancies. You need more than just a description of products and features written by different people at different times. The message should be consistent across the enterprise. The voice. Everyone should hear the same message from the same source, no matter where or how they listen to your message. Everything your company creates and delivers should focus on the client and do so in a consistent and brand-focused tone. The branding. Your branding, from logos to font choice, all need to be consistent. This provides a baseline for your brand no matter what part of the customer journey they have reached. Another facet of the user experience of content is progressive disclosure. The idea of progressive disclosure is to provide a teaser or advanced notice of more content. As the end user travels through the customer journey, you provide more and more information the deeper they dive. Using DITA, progressive disclosure of documentation can be automatically enabled in HTML5 and in apps. A final consideration for the user experience of content is to allow them a fully functional HTML experience when the content goes from micro to macro. There comes a point at which there is so much content available that you need to provide multiple entry points to enable easy findability of a specific piece of information that they may need. For example, consider the analogy of a big box home improvement website. They have search functionality, but that often results in too many search results to be useful for finding a particular item. Users want to filter down those results and find just the piece of hardware they're looking for, with the features they need and a price they're willing to pay. An end user has just as much trouble finding the piece of information they need in your library of content. DITA enables tagging and categorizing so that an HTML rendering of that content allows end users to find the categories of content that apply to them at that moment. This is called faceted search and can be an invaluable tool that is enabled by a strong infrastructure such as DITA. DITA content allows a great deal of metadata to be associated with it, both for findability in faceted search and for enhanced overall search engine optimization, SEO, value. By associating a carefully planned set of metadata values to discrete pieces of content, you can increase the reach of your website and drive successful findability for every piece of content for your visitors. For internal content, you could deliver pre-approved, high-quality content that is findable rather than the mess of pages, libraries, and sites that SharePoint encourages. For external-facing content, you can let end users pick and choose product versions, product combinations, and operating systems so they can see just the content that applies to them. DITA's strengths are very much focused on flexibility and extensibility so that it can be used to create the content you need, regardless of the type of content or who your end users are. Better, faster, more effective content management, backed by a well-planned, unified content strategy, can save enterprises millions of dollars. It also frees up resources that should be developing, building, planning, and innovating by making the content lifecycle as automated and transparent, yet managed, as possible. Although DITA's adoption began with technical communicators, it's now primed and ready for a wider adoption across all content creators in an enterprise. There are interesting times ahead. If this all sounds good to you, maybe it's time to consider exploring how Adobe and DITA are a great match. Tools like Adobe Experience Manager and Adobe FrameMaker are made for DITA and work in harmony to create a complete technical communication solution. You can create, edit, manage, and publish all your content for a unified content strategy using tools in a unified technical communication suite. We can help with that. If you want to read more about this on your own, we wrote a white paper in partnership with Adobe, and you can download it from this link. We also have many presentation slides on DITA and other topics that you can download for free from slideshare.net/publishing smarter. Publishing Smarter has been in this industry providing these services for years. We have been working with clients to create, manage, improve, and deliver content in order for it to reach the widest audience and in the best way possible. We are more than happy to help you with anything and answer the questions you might have from this presentation. Here are the links to our website, YouTube channel, and our LinkedIn page. Once again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and we hope that it's been helpful for you.